Let's read the instructions. It says to graph the image of the figure using the transformation given. This is in your notes. It wants us to make a translation 4 units right and 4 units down. Now remember, translation just means to slide. Translation just means to slide. So we're going to slide this 4 units right and 4 units down. We're going to start by moving point T. Let's start by moving point T. Okay, so I'm going to move T 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right and 1, 2, 3, 4 units down. And I'm going to put the new point T right here. And we're going to call it T prime. So we're going to put a little mark to make it T prime. And that tells me that it is the new image. Now let's move U. We're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4 right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. I'm going to put the new point U prime. And then finally, let's move the V, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be our new V prime. I'm going to connect my points to make the congruent triangle. Now, what I want to do now is take a look at these ordered pairs and see how they changed. So right here, let's go in and write what the new T prime ordered pair is. So I see that it is positive 5 on the x-axis and negative 2 on the y-axis. That's going to be 5, negative 2. Looking at point U, I see that it is 5 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. And then V is 0 on the x-axis, but negative 2 on the y-axis. So let's compare our ordered pairs. The first one says, how did the x value change? So let's take a look at the x value. From 1 to 5, I would add 4 from 1 to 5. Okay, let's go to the U. 1 to 5, that's adding 4. Okay, let's go to the V. V, negative 4 to 0, I would be adding 4. So on all the x values, they changed by adding 4. Let's look at the y values. On T, we went from negative 2 to negative 2. So that would be subtracting 4. We went on U from 4 to 0, that would be subtracting 4. And from 2 to negative 2, that would be subtracting 4. So how did the y values change? Well, we subtracted 4. Let's move to number 4. Number 4 says to translate or slide 4 units left and 2 units down. So I'm going to take each point and move it that same amount. So let's start with B. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 down. That will be new B prime. Remember, that's actually important so that we know which is the new and which is the old. Okay, C, let's move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 down. So our new C is going to be here. That's going to be C prime. And lastly, let's move D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. D prime is going to be right here. Let's connect. And let's write down the new ordered pairs to compare. So the new B prime is at negative 5, positive 2. The new C is at negative 2, positive 3. And the new D is at negative 1, negative 1. So let's ask ourselves, how did these change? So let's look at the x values in each one. From negative 4 to negative 5, that would be subtracting 4. From 2 to negative 2, that would be subtracting 4. From 3 to negative 1, that would be subtracting 4. So how did the x value change? We subtracted 4. Let's look at the y's. 4 to 2, that's subtracting 2. 5 to 3, subtracting 2. And 1 to negative 1, subtracting 2. So how did the y values change? We subtracted 2. So let's look at that in comparison to the words that we were given. So I'm going to go back to number 3. Notice that the words up here says 4 units to the right and 4 units down. Look what we did right here to move those. To move it right, we added 4. To move it down, we subtracted 4. Okay. This one says to go 4 units left and 2 units down. Left and down. So what I'm getting at here is that we use addition and subtraction to move these items left and right, up and down. So let's write the transformation rule that goes with this. So in your transformation rule box, this is how all rules look. You'll have an x comma y in parentheses, and that's the pre-image ordered pair. And then you'll see an arrow. That arrow says or means to transform. So we're going to transform the pre-image by, for the x, we'll add or subtract a number. So I'm just going to put an h there. And on the y, we will add or subtract a number. Underneath that, we're going to put what does it mean to add when you add and subtract. So let's start with the x's. If you add to the x, then it's going to move the figure right. If you add to the x, it's going to move the figure right. If you subtract from the x, it's going to move the figure left. Okay. Let's talk about the y. If you add to the y, you're going to move it up. And if you subtract from the y, you're going to move it down. That is your rule.